I thought I was giving my family the American dream. A farmhouse in rural Ohio, 30 acres of privacy, and a safe place for my 2 daughters to grow up. But 3 months ago, I moved a heavy shelf in the basement and found a door that wasn't on the floor plan. I thought I'd found a bit of history. I was wrong. I'd found a predatory secret that had been waiting for a new family to move in. My name is Mark, and if you're listening to this, check your walls. You never really know who lived there before you. My wife, Sarah, always joked that the house was too big for us. It was a sprawling, Victorian-style farmhouse miles from the nearest neighbor. With 2 girls under the age of 6, the isolation felt like a luxury until I started working on the basement. The basement was a cold, damp cavern of fieldstone and mortar. I was clearing out some old junk left by the previous owners, an elderly couple who had died within weeks of each other, when I noticed a section of the wall that didn't match. Behind a massive built-in oak bookshelf, there was a seam in the wood. I'm a curious guy. I grabbed a crowbar and pried the bookshelf away from the wall. Behind it wasn't just a crawl space, it was a heavy iron-latched door. When I cracked it open, the smell hit me first. It wasn't rot, it was the smell of old copper and ozone, like a storm was trapped inside the walls. I stepped in with my flashlight. The room was tiny, maybe 6 by 6. There was a single chair bolted to the floor, facing the wall. But it was the wall itself that made my skin crawl. It wasn't stone, it was a one-way mirror. I was looking directly into my own living room from behind the drywall. I could see Sarah on the couch, reading to the girls. They had no idea I was there. They had no idea anyone had ever been there. I didn't tell Sarah. I didn't want to scare her. I just locked the door and pushed the shelf back. That was my first mistake. The next night, the sounds started. Subtle things. The sound of someone breathing through a vent. I'd be lying in bed, and I'd hear a rhythmic thump-thump coming from beneath the floorboards. It sounded like a heartbeat. Then my oldest daughter, Maya, started talking to the man in the floor. She'd sit in the living room, right in front of that bookshelf, and whisper. When I asked her who she was talking to, she just said, "The man who's sad because you locked his room." I went back down there at 2 a.m. I moved the shelf again. The iron latch on the secret door was glowing hot to the touch. I opened it, expecting to find a squatter. The room was empty, but the chair had moved. It was no longer facing the one-way mirror. It was facing the door, facing me. On the seat of the chair was a small Polaroid photo. It was damp. I picked it up and nearly dropped my light. It was a photo of me taken from inside this room while I was opening the door for the first time. I realized then that the room wasn't just a place to watch. It was a place that remembered. I tried to bolt the door shut with steel plates, but the house seemed to reject them. The screws would be ripped out by morning, lying in a neat pile on the basement floor. The atmosphere in the house changed. It felt like the oxygen was being sucked out. Sarah grew pale, complaining of constant shadows moving in the corners of her vision. The breaking point came last Tuesday. I woke up to find the master bedroom door wide open. I ran to the girls' room. They were gone. I didn't scream. I didn't call the police. I ran straight to the basement. I threw the bookshelf aside with a strength I didn't know I had. The secret door was wide open. I burst inside, but I wasn't in the 6 by 6 room anymore. The space behind the door had expanded. It was a long, dark hallway made of the same one-way glass. As I ran down it, I saw my life through the glass. To my left, I saw my kitchen. To my right, the girls' playroom. And there they were. Maya and her sister were sitting on the floor of the hidden hallway, playing with a man whose back was turned to me. He was wearing my clothes. He had my build. When he turned around, he didn't have a face. It was just a smooth, reflective surface, like the one-way mirror. I grabbed the girls and ran. I didn't grab our clothes. I didn't grab my phone. I threw them into the SUV and drove until the sun came up. We're in a rental now, 3 states away. Sarah thinks it was a home intruder. She doesn't know the truth. She doesn't know that I still hear that rhythmic thump-thump in the walls of this new house. I think when I opened that door, I didn't just find a room. I let something out that had forgotten how to be human, and now it's following the only family it knows.